What is quilting? It's taking fabric and designing it into a pattern or into whatever you would like to make it to be. Like the quilt over there is with the bear on it. It was a picture, and I just cut around it and made the bear and turned the edges over and hand sewn them. And from there I just kept going. It was entered in Quilt Canada, which is you send a picture of the quilt to and a little write-up about it to the people that decide who goes into the quilt show and who doesn't. They wrote me back and said that my quilt was entered and I had to have it there by such and such day. And I didn't win any prizes or anything, but it was in there, and it was really a thrill to have it there. The quilt here is just called Circle of Life, is what I called it. And there's no real pattern for it. These are flying geese, which are a pattern, and this is log cabins. But the bear itself is just appliqué, and the design is just appliqué. This here part is machine sewn, but the bear and the rocks and the water and the mountains are all hand sewn. The entire quilt would be a couple of years. I didn't work at it every day and stuff. If we went camping, I took it with me and did the hand quilting on it and stuff like that. Piece in here is all hand quilted. In the cross hatching there is sprays of what we call feathers, and there are these are circles of feathers in each one of these circles, and that took quite a while, and it was on the cover of the Canadian Quilters magazine. So that's my claim to fame, and that's the backing is the back of the quilt. There's batting in the middle, and that comes in different weights and thicknesses and that, and then there's your quilt top. The hand quilting holds the batting and the backing and the quilt together so that when you wash it, it's not falling apart and lumping. And it gives it more texture to it, and it's a design that you put into the quilt too. Templates, we call them, for hand quilting. You can trace off the hemp template, and then you quilt around it with hand stitching. It's a lot of just ordinary women that are doing something that they enjoy. And we have teachers come in and teach us. Well, we've had up to, I don't know, about 30 women in here, I think, because some sit at the tables, and we have 2 to each table. We blow a fuse every once in a while.
Have you ever run out of fabric?
No.
Way to bring the house down.
Yeah.
Should have been here yesterday.
No, I personally have never run out of fabric because I try to use what I've got at home, but then there's never quite enough to finish a project, so you have to go and get more to be able to finish the project to use up the bits that you had at home already. I've probably got a smaller stash of material at home than many of the quilters here, but I have enough to keep me going. I'm working on a comfort quilt. I'm putting together the blocks for a comfort quilt from scraps that I had at home that, lots of little pieces that putting together for a comfort quilt. Some of these pieces that I'm working with today are pieces from quilts that I've made for my grandchildren over the years. So I don't throw anything out, but some people do, but not me. Originally, they were using old blankets or old shirts or something like that for blankets to put together. That's where quilting started. So, yeah, it's great. Yeah, reuse. Well, when I retired from work, I decided there were 2 things I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to quilt, and I wanted to learn how to skate. So I did them both. Now the skating has had to sort of take a back seat because of aches and pains, but the quilting, I think, is a hobby that will last forever. So I was just saying to somebody today that never ceases to amaze me that two quilters can use exactly the same pattern and have totally different materials, and it looks like totally different quilts that they've made. This is a Bargello project. Every year the Guild gives a challenge for the members to participate each year to challenge them. And a couple of years ago we were given a book out of the library, covered up, we didn't know what we were getting. And I happened to get a Bargello book, and I've always looked at Bargellos, admired them, and thought, no way, it's much too difficult. So when I got the book, I thought, now's the time to try to do a Bargello project. So once I got down to it and figured out what the book was telling me to do, it actually was quite easy. I know it looks lots of little pieces, but there are tricks and things that you learn as you go along. And that was my project for the Guild for a couple of years ago, I think it was. Every quilter has lots of Christmas materials in their stash, so I happen to have enough for this one. But it's like any hobby, when you come together with people, you learn things and you're sharing things. And for me personally, it's been quite difficult the last couple of years with COVID because of the isolation. So I was really excited when the Guild started up again in the fall, and this has been great. Yeah, just to get out and share an activity with people and have that contact with them. Yeah, you develop friendships and close connections with people through it. But the other thing is that if you're running into a problem here, there's always somebody that will help you, or if you're not sure if this piece of material works with that piece of material, you've always got somebody that will come and say, oh, you know what might work here? Or this is what I've tried and this is what works, and yeah, or there's an easier way to do that. Yeah, this is one of the blocks that I've put together for the comfort quilt. So I'll put the blocks together, and then I'll take it home and put it up on a wall where I can see what's happening, and then decide what I'm going to do with it from there. Yeah, and I don't do a lot of this with the quilting. I use this.
It's called cathedral windows. And you put a patch in the middle of all the circles, and then you join them together, and then you open up the edge of the circle and sew that down. So from the back side, just looks like a denim quilt. And then from the front you have windows. It's nice being in a group. It's a lot of work because you have to pack everything here, but it's nice once you're here. And the wonderful thing with here is you can leave your stuff overnight. So you come back and it's just like being at home. You just start up again. Some people use their wall. Some people have a design wall where they have something up that just sticks to them. And these groups are wonderful because then you have a big table that you can spread things out. Or these tables for laying out your quilt and pinning it together. Well, we meet every second week. Well, actually every week. Just one meeting's in the morning and the other one's in the evening. And most of them bring in their work and think, oh, God, that's beautiful. And it makes you want to do it more. It's sort of a crazy craft. I mean, you cut up material to sew together to make more material.
I had just moved into the neighborhood, and there was a garage sale 2 streets away, so my husband and I went, and it was Mary and her husband were having the garage sale, and she had all kinds of craft supplies there and everything that she was selling, and I asked her if she had any fabric. And she said, oh, I've got lots of fabric. She says, I'm a quilter. And I said, oh, really? I just love the reaction when I give my quilts away, because I don't think I've ever sold anything. I just give them away, so to my family or whatever, friends, and just the reaction on their faces when they get a quilt is just absolutely amazing. It makes it all worthwhile. Actually, this one is my first one I'm keeping for myself. It's amazing. Yeah, I gave this one to my husband, actually. Yeah. This was just a panel that I purchased, and my husband is really into animals and things, so I thought he would love that as a quilt. And so then I went just to some of the local shops, and I actually found the coordinating fabrics. These are digital prints, so they come out so clear and so lifelike that it adds a lot of depth and dimension. Yeah, most of my quilts I've done with cotton on the back, but every now and then I like to use a flannel. It just makes it that much softer and more cozy. I don't off and on, probably for about a month, I think, just picking it up here and there and yeah, working on it. I think the hardest part of it was actually doing the quilting on my machine. Because I didn't send it to the long armor, I tried to do it myself, and so it was a real challenge, but hey, it worked. Long arm is one of those big machines where you can pin your quilt to the machine. They create the sandwich for you, pin it to their machines, and then it automatically does all of the quilting. Yeah. So you get all that really nice intricate designs and patterns and all of that, yeah.
It was a quilt called Gypsy Wife by Jean Kingwell from Australia. And it was quite the book to figure out because she did everything from, instead of from this way over, she did everything the opposite, like numbering and stuff. So it was a little bit different to do. But it was a good one because you did a lot of different blocks and just placing them, and that was our Guild Challenge class one a couple of years ago. It took a while because you did every block and then you're piecing them to piece the blocks in, right? So it wasn't like you had a strip piecing going on. It was like every block was a little bit different, different sizes, but it was a fun one to do actually. This was just a little table topper that I've done, and it's by, the designer is Kim Deal. And so it was called Cake in the Cabin. And so I just had done it as a guild challenge. We were supposed to do half square triangles, so there was a lot of half square triangles. And I always just wanted to do one that had like a basket in it. So the challenging part? To keep your points so that you don't lose points on it, and you know, when you're piecing such small pieces. This is all done on the machine, but it's all freehand by myself. It's like done on a, you know, like on a domestic machine.
I have been the longest attending member, I think I mentioned, and the quilt on my bed wore out after 30 plus years, and so I had to make a new one. So it's basically broken down to a block that's called a pinwheel block. So it's a scrappy pinwheel. The color is my choice of color, and the fabric is a lot of watery fabric, and I'm a Pisces and water and all that. And this is the largest quilt I've ever done, and I didn't think I'd ever do another big one, but you never know for sure. So I'm not hand quilting anymore. I've done thousands of hours of hand quilting, many quilts. This is done by one of our professional girls that belongs to the Guild, and it's a wave machine done pattern. I pretty much worked on it for about 3 months to piece it, and I did count, and each triangle into a square, there's 624.
And this is a paper pieced quilt. The pattern is Judy Niemeyer from Quiltworks. It took the better part of 120 hours to piece the top. These little dots, there's 84 of those. They're all hand sewn on. But I thoroughly enjoy doing it. The quilting, I did the quilting myself. Got to play with my machine and do custom quilting and learn lots as I go along so that when I'm doing customer quilts, I sort of know what I'm doing. The whole quilt is called Dinner Plate Dahlia, and that was the pattern name. I chose my own colors rather than getting a kit where everything blended together. I like pops of color, so. Every time you have a curve, you'll have a temporary registration mark between two colors, so that when you're putting it together, you know you're not stretching and pulling and that type of thing, and it lays perfectly flat, or should, when you're done. Pattern and material is about $450, $500. That's just the top. Then you have your batting and your backing on top of that. Custom quilting on top of that. If I was going to sell a quilt like that, it would be about $3,200.
The pattern title is Ribbon Quilt, sort of obvious. One of our other members brought it as a show and tell at the Guild several months ago, and I thought it was intriguing. It requires 11 pieces of fabric, one of which is the background, and they're either horizontal or vertical pieces. I had it quilted by one of our Guild members who has a long arm machine, Leslie, and it's going to be a gift for a 10-year-old girl, and I'm calling it Ribbons of Sherbet, or Sherbet Ribbons. I haven't decided what yet. This is classic mosaic, and given the fabric choice and this sort of bedlam, there's nothing classic about it, I don't think. Anyway, it was fun and some challenges because I didn't have enough of this to do all of the sashing, so I had to be a bit creative. But I feel that it's sort of busy enough that that anomaly won't show. And someone explained it to me once before, years when I first joined the Guild, that if there is a mistake, it's not a mistake, it's a design element. That was one of the things that I learned early on in this quilting game, and I've only been quilting for about 18 years. no, yeah, 20 years, I guess, is to name your quilt and credit the designer of the pattern if it's going into a show or whatever, and then sign it and date it. Anyway, that's the classic mosaic.